Is technology helping your child to get the best education possible today? We're going to answer that question on Parent to Parent with our guests Guy Lodico and Harvey Sherer. They're both from PS 102 in Queens. So tell us, gentlemen, tell us about this innovative program that you're involved with.
Well, technology plays an important role at PS 102. It goes way beyond the computer. It goes into video, it goes into closed-circuit television, and it goes into computers that are networked with each other so that a person who is talented, who can only reach a certain population, can now reach any and all classrooms at any given time and run lessons with individual children in different rooms, in the same room, in different buildings. So technology is merely the means by which all of this can be accomplished. Teaching is still teaching.
Yeah, and if we're talking about technology, I think we should define it. Because people think technology, instantly you think computers, you think this and that. Technology is the art of communication. That's what it is. And that's what we're doing at PS 102 in Community School District 24. We're using technology as a medium. And with teaching, the medium is the message. And we have all our media people here today. And it truly is the message. And the way you reach children, no matter what tool you use, is the way they're going to understand, the way they're going to learn.
How was your school chosen as to, is it a pilot program, is it a model program, what exactly is it?
Well, let me answer that. You know, we've always believed that teachers as well as parents should practice the art of teaching based on their own areas of interest or expertise. Not necessarily the ability to teach, but the ability to communicate what they enjoy doing most. And there is vocabulary, there is a whole culture around those interests. And Guy Lodico is exceptionally talented in that area of technology. And so we built a program around Guy's dream and his interests. And that was really the beginning 2 years ago of a special room which has been visited by people from all over the city, from Long Island, the mayor, and it's a special room which does TV production, does internet, projected software through a video beam so that software programs can be group taught, and children who are 5 years of age, for example, can learn left to right progression with a pace and a rhythm and animation. Even the author of some of the software that we use was just astonished at the use of this software. It's not a computer, it's a projection onto an electronic chalkboard. That's the genius of Guy Lodico.
And I guess what we're talking about a vision between administrators and the teachers. Administrators recognizing the talents of their teachers and then really just building upon that and bringing the interest of the teacher into the classroom, whether it be technology, art, music. And that's what it's been a developmental process. It wasn't a matter of just being chosen. It was a matter of taking what resources we have and what can we do, and this is the most important thing, to meet the needs of our children. We're in a school district with over 60 languages.
Right.
Now, when I came to the school and I met with Harvey Sherer, how are we going to teach reading, literacy? Very important to all these children. You have to develop different means and use whatever tools possible to reach them. And that's what technology has given us, along with the other arts.
What is the cultural diversity? You said 60 languages. So are these all, I'm assuming many of these children are English as a second language children?
That's
absolutely.
Correct.
So you have children coming in kindergarten, first grade, who don't speak a word of English. Now, how can you bring them, how can you give them a chance to shine throughout the day?
Yeah. Could you give us an example of, let's say, how technology would do that?
Inside this room, we have a PowerMac 6100 AV.
What does that mean?
And this is a computer, and when you walk in the room, it doesn't have a monitor on it, so people would be like, what is that, a Laserdisc player? It's a computer used as part of this electronic chalkboard that Harvey was telling you about, where we're projecting software. We're taking the book, the basic book,
okay,
and now we're taking it bringing technology into the picture. So now the children are inside the book. It's projected on the screen, a 10-foot screen, and the children as a group, when you're dealing with children from different languages, it's very, you don't want to say something, there's a lot of anxiety. So what we've created is a low anxiety environment where children feel comfortable reading together in a choral group, interacting with the software. The software first models reading to them, they hear it, the computer is reading it to them. Then we go into taking words out, the children build words from the story. And then the software actually records the children reading the story, where they can hear the story back. All reading developmental processes going on with the integration of technology.
Are you the teacher that you run this program, or do all the teachers have hands-on with this program?
This is very, again, it started in phases. As we developed it, we started with myself. I was reinforcement to the reading program with this program. I'm not there anymore. I'm at the district level now, where we're expanding this technology throughout District 24. We have 27 schools and 33,000 students with the same needs. So Harvey Sherer can tell you how now it's being taken, how this is leading the reading curriculum with WiggleWorks.
Yeah, well, again, this room was a prototype for the district's special reading programs, especially for very young children, so that what we have is a means by which it's almost as though if you have young children that everything in the house were labeled, and each item in the house were animated, so it moves. So that children who don't speak English, or very young children who don't know the names of things, now can see things in motion. They can see what these things are capable of doing. And there's a story built around it, so there's a theme. So emergent readers, children who don't speak English, all now have a model by which to, the visual, by which to learn new vocabulary.
Yeah, and it builds background knowledge, which is very important. He just hit, I'm sorry, he just hit on something that I'm so excited about, and which is great about this program. It builds background knowledge, the reading readiness skills that children need before they become readers, which all lead to comprehension. After they become, when they're able to decode the letters, they have to know make a reference to what that picture is and what they're reading about.
I mean, this sounds wonderful that while they're in school they're getting all this. What happens when this child gets home, goes home? I mean, can this be translated?
That's the beauty of it. It's text. Text is text. Okay, so if you start, if you motivate the child with this technology and you get them to read, we always bring it back to the book. The book is technology, textbook or a reader, it's all literature based. So we always bring the child back to the text. Even with this, and then it goes back to the rooms, and they're looking at the same story in a book.
Okay, so there's a book that goes with the...
This is literature-based. These are stories.
Video.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The important thing to remember here is that electronic books, the visual, very much with us today, is just part of the story. It's just the initial impetus that moves children into, or motivates them into learning. So that the key to any school is connectivity, networking everybody's efforts, so that what the child does in room 1 is carried over into room 2, and all the teachers are working and planning together, which is not so easy to do. And you try to do that at home as well with the child's activities. You want to expand his activities from school out into the community. And so what children in our school do is they'll go into this room, they will exercise with electronic books. The real books are in their classrooms. So the classroom teacher who was present during this electronic lesson now carries it out in the regular classroom. So there's reinforcement going on. And as Guy says repeatedly, and rightfully so, reading is communication, but it really is a two-way communication. So that when you read to your children at home, which is always a good idea, and listen to your children when they read back to you, which is even a better idea, to develop this interaction between parent and child, so that the child is not necessarily reading but paraphrasing, which is good. He's sticking to the story. Well, that's what technology supports. you don't have to learn all the vocabulary, you just have to be able to interpret the visual.
Okay, if you have any questions as to how to improve your child's education, give us a call at 1-800-EXT-HELP. How are the parents involved in all of this? Do you bring them into the classroom? Do they know what's going on?
Absolutely.
Have they seen, they've seen all the computers work or the screen and...
That's a great question. Whenever we want to demonstrate this technology, which we've been asked, as Harvey said, by many people,
Yeah.
I don't do it in isolation away from the children. I'll do it, if I had the children here today, we could show you amazing things.
Right.
The children have to be there. And what we do is we bring people in, we bring the parents in, and we show them the interaction. And that's the best way. Modeling is the best teacher. So they actually see how the children are reacting to this technology. And then they can take it back to the classrooms or take it back home.
How is it working for the students that are, you know, English is a second language for them?
I've observed incredible results with this technology. Again, see, children learn different, we all learn different ways. We have different learning modalities, different learning styles. What technology does, it gives, for the person who learns orally,
Right.
it provides that means of communication. For the child who learns visually, it provides that. It's there, and that's the beauty of it. It's making a chalkboard come to life. It's making a book come to life. It's really incredible. It really is.
It sounds incredible, but being that it's such a cultural diverse area, do you have any, from some of the parents who have come from other cultures, are they having a hard time grasping this sort of innovative approach, or has it been widely accepted?
Not really. You see, it depends on how the school or how the institution approaches it. In our place, we have a committee. We call it a curriculum committee, on which are teachers as well as parents. And so that when we buy software, for example, and we preview that, parents view it.
Okay.
So they see this
So they're
before
part
their
of it.
children, and they support it with their funds. In the building of this room, we got 100% support from our Parents Association because they saw the vision. They saw the efficacy of this approach. As a result of this, and I'm sure it's a direct result, many of our children own computers. And the same software they view at school is also viewed at home. Which, by the way, we have a working relationship with a publisher, so that we're able to afford lots of this software because they give it to us on consignment.
Oh, I see.
And they bring their clients into the school so that they see how it's used. And so the word spreads in that respect.
In building this room, it must have been costly. How did you, get the funding for it? Who's
Okay,
paying?
when we get back, we're going to be talking about using computers as tools and technology in the 21st century. Join us in a few. We'll be back.
Right into
We're here today with Guy Lodico and Harvey Sherer, principal and media technology specialist at PS 102 in District 24, regarding computers in today's schools and in the classroom. And tell us, gentlemen, so exactly, could you give us specifics? What are these children learning? What are they helping us do?
Well, let's start with 5- and 6-year-olds.
Okay.
They're introduced to reading via technology. That's reinforced in the classroom, and it's reinforced by other teachers as well outside the classroom. But it all starts with an electronic chalkboard. Left to right progression, directionality, phonics, magnetic boards that are electronic, children making their own words, children's voices being recorded so that they can hear models of their own pronunciations, and all these different languages, including English. Don't forget the school is 60 languages and 55% Asian and many different dialects. They all hear the correct pronunciation via the computer, and they hear their own voices vis-a-vis the computer. And I might also add that music is a big part of this. And Guy is an accomplished musician and uses the guitar and piano, original songs to build vocabulary.
Yeah, that's what led us actually to the, it was just a natural progression. Again, when I first had gotten to this school 8 years ago, we were trying to figure out how we're going to meet the children's needs. And one way, the first way, was through music and using the arts. And technology is synonymous with the arts. It's the art of communication, like we spoke about before. When we're talking about skills, what is our goal as educators? We want to create autonomous decision makers. Children who are able to look at something, ask questions, critical thinking. That's the basis of everything we're talking about here. And that's how we're doing it. There are many different software programs you can use for that. Without specifying the name of each, you have to just look at what is a child interacting with the software.
What about math? Is that something that's...
Math is inside this technology center at PS 102. We've been using Laserdisc technology, which suits that very nicely for our K-1.
And what is Laserdisc technology? What is that?
You're using a Laserdisc. Instead of using a CD-ROM, I brought a little hands-on, using a Laserdisc. And what is nice about a Laserdisc compared to, say, videotape is you can instantly go where you want to go. While you're teaching in front of the classroom. It has a barcode reader where you scan where you are in the lesson, or if you want to jump around, you scan it just like at the supermarket, the barcode reader, and instantly you're on a lesson about shapes or compare and contrasting. And that's and you can pause it, you can leave it there. It really takes you into...
How much time is spent in this room?
Well, classes are programmed into that room for about 45-minute segments. But the important thing to stress here is that when you ask your child to think about something, what exactly do you want him to do? And our goal, the philosophical base for all of this, is teaching children how to think by what's called process skills, the process of thinking. So he compares and he contrasts. So if you say to a child, can you describe a circle? No, I can't. But if he sees it on a Laserdisc and he sees it animated, rolling along, as opposed to a triangle and a square, which can't roll along, he now draws the difference.
Okay.
Now, how long has this program been, how long have you been doing this for?
We're completing our first year with it.
Oh, so this is completing the first year. So first, kindergartners are exposed? It's starting in the kindergarten.
Yes.
So you really don't have any way to compare right now as to, you know,
again, this has been developing for years. When we started using technology at the school, the first thing our first order of business was, how can we enhance the learning environment in the auditorium? So what did we do? We sat down and we designed different systems, the public address system. I mean, that's technology. There used to be beautiful plays going on in the auditorium, but if the children can't hear it, their attention's lost. So that's, again, it's a year in this special room, but as a school, as a learning community, this has been evolving over, I'd say, 8 years.
8 years. I just, you know, you're talking about a circle. You know, and I think back to when I was taught about circles and shapes and things, and you know, I just feel like we're pushing the children and, you know, feeding them all of this, you know, computer and technology and all this, and, you know, how healthy is it for them?
You know,
or
we have a clip now to see what's going on in the classroom, so why don't we watch that and we could see firsthand.
My name is Susie O. I am here to tell you what we have done about the Plain Indians. This is an armband used for special occasions like special dances and special feasts. This is a shaman's mask. They wore this mask to cure sick people. This was a special buckskin to get the great spirit.
What's happening in here? I mean, what's going on?
You saw a culminating lesson on Native Americans. And what you saw at the beginning of that piece was a child using video technology, talking on the microphone about what she did in her cooperative group on Native American Indians. And the graphic you saw was created by the children on a Macintosh computer.
This is the classroom teacher did several lessons over many days. This is a culminating activity, and the computer supported the teacher. This was not...
In what way?
By reinforcing certain skills and concepts, directions for children to follow, so that their projects could be completed based on the models that they were looking at, following the directions issued by the computer, the computer software. So it doesn't stand alone. It's merely integrated to support the teacher's daily instruction.
So is this special software that is made special just for your school?
No, no. These are published. These are the domestic market. It serves the domestic market as well as schools.
So one could buy that at home if
Absolutely.
So it can transfer from the classroom to the home. It could be reinforced.
This point should be underscored because what the child does in class can be supported at home with the same software. So that's another advantage of technology.
Okay.
Are these families that can they afford is this a population that has computers at home? I know my son who's 7K came home saying, I'm the only one that doesn't have a computer. And we ran out and it's like, okay,
absolutely.
this is
Most of our children do have computers, and you see this, it proliferates every year. If you compare this just a year ago, when only a few hands went up, and now nearly all hands go up.
Right.
This brings us to another point. What we're doing at the district and at PS 102 is bringing the computers inside the classroom as opposed to the traditional computer lab.
Right.
Okay.
And that's a critical point here, because it used to be the computer teacher was like the Wizard of Oz, Only the computer teacher knew what was really going on, and the kids would come down, the teachers would drop the children off and go upstairs, and that bridge was lost. There was a gap there.
Because I know my son who has a computer lab in school, and what are you doing? Because I'm playing golf. And I was like a little disappointed. I thought he'd like learn a little bit.
You see, this was always, this is a traditional view of computers. If you're good, you get to use the computer. It's computer time. There is no computer time at 102. Computer time is all the time. And a key point here, as Guy mentioned, is teacher training. We are in our third year of computers in all classrooms, as opposed to a computer room where that one magic human lives. All teachers have been given computer instruction, about 20 hours.
Okay.
So now they're in their third year, and it's you have a typical staff of veteran people and new people. You have that dichotomy of youngsters coming out of college whose computer background is rich, where the veteran teacher might be somewhat resistant. So those barriers have been broken down, and I can safely say that all 30 teachers in every classroom use it willingly.
Are the schools or people who are going for education degrees now, is this part of the curriculum?
A great question. We were just talking about it on the way driving over here, and that's something that has to be addressed. It has to be addressed to prepare the teachers for this technology. Another thing computers bring to a classroom is makes the teacher more of a facilitator of learning, rather than standing up there and dispensing information and just providing answers. It gives children an opportunity to discover the information for themselves through researching, using
What about the internet? Are you involved with using the internet?
Yes, we have an internet link. One way we're using telecommunications is a direct link to the Queens Public Library. So we're using Telnet technology, where the children are able to go into the 9 million item catalog from the school, which is nice. And they're learning how to use it because it actually emulates what they would be doing at the library. So they're learning research skills, which is one of the most difficult skills to teach anybody. So that's very interesting. As far as the internet, we've done a collaborative project with schools from all over the country.
So when you're saying that when you're saying a collaborative project here, I mean, as far as other schools that are involved in the same sort of thing that you call, I mean, I guess I'm a computer illiterate, so to speak. I mean, I really don't,
Okay, what's great about the internet is, this is something I was thinking about the other day. It's bringing writing back as a major point in education. If children want to email each other, they want to send an electronic letter to each other.
Right. Okay.
They have to learn how to construct. It gives them an opportunity, a motivation to construct sentences.
And it makes it fun. It makes learning fun.
It makes it fun, and they can send that email anywhere they like.
And instantly, too, I guess, which gives you the instant gratification as well.
Including class to class. So you have a mail system built into your school.
Okay. And now, are there any other schools that have the same type of technology?
All right. We're going to come back in a few seconds, and we're going to talk about bringing the 21st century into your child's classroom. See you in a couple. Does your child's school have closed-circuit TV? We're here today. We're going to see what PS 102 is doing about it.
Well, let me start off bragging a bit. We're just informed that the school has become a model for all of New York City for what is referred to as a local area network. This, in our school, will include closed-circuit television so that all you need is a production center anywhere. It happens to be 3 buildings on the campus. And a child or a teacher can broadcast. All you need to do is say, turn to channel 4 at 11 o'clock, and Donna will be presenting her winning essay on Women's History Month. And she can then share that story with any and all other classrooms.
So each classroom has a television?
Correct.
Okay.
And it also includes the computer piece, so that via a file server,
what is a file server?
A file server will send both the software program and its sound to, again, any and all classrooms, so that if 2 children are working on the same project, they don't even have to be in the same grades. They can talk to each other. And a teacher who is serving that program can direct those children through that phase of the program.
So when you mean a teacher that's serving the program, what does that mean?
It means that there is a machine. It's called a file server.
Okay.
And that software will be transmitted via the network to the computers in the classrooms, so that one piece of software is now available to many children throughout the building.
Now, can this be done from school to school in this city? Is that a goal or a long range?
I'm sure it can be, but
well, the goal is, and we were talking about this before, is to make the community the classroom, and that is really what's behind all of what we're talking about. So yes, we want the children to communicate in this way, using computer, using telecommunications, using video production for public access television. Now there's an area that's been pretty much untapped by education for many years.
What exactly is public access TV?
Public access is your right, because you live in a community, to have access to some time on that station. Public access stations have a franchise with, say, Time Warner or whoever it may be in your area, Cablevision here. And by law, they're required to give the public access. Not only time to broadcast what you want to broadcast, but also the training to do it. So about 4 years ago, we were talking about this. We had 1 video camera and 1 VCR. And we said, well, now how can we utilize this technology? And what would the benefits be? Because it always has to come back, what's going to be the result of what we do? So when we're talking, this is a parent show, how can we bridge the gap between school and parent? Why not bring the school into their living rooms through public access television? So what we did 4 years ago, we secured time on QPTV, Queens Public Access Television, 2 hours a week for 2 hours, where the children, the school, is able to bring what goes on into the school into the living room.
Well, how do you choose which class is going to be on
okay,
this
first of all, the way we started, we videotaped all assembly programs. Mom and dad work. Most mothers and fathers work these days. And these beautiful productions would go on, and maybe the parents who had the opportunity to go would see this wonderful production. But what about the parents who couldn't make it? So that's the first thing we did. Every child is on public access television, and their assembly is. What we're doing with this, we're attempting to build public confidence back into the school system, demonstrate what we're doing. Self-esteem for children is very important. And when children see teachers recognizing their efforts in the classroom and their part in the play or their song that they're going to sing, academic achievement, it's just natural. Because it's recognizing what I've done, no matter what it is, what I'm doing. We brought this into the 5th grade technology club. The 5th grade is where they're able to produce these programs, storyboard their ideas. Here we're talking about what we call non-linear thinking skills, where children have to look at images, sound, text, and put it all together to make sense, to make
When
meaning.
you say
out of this.
nonlinear, that means, explain what that means.
Non-linear means you're able to think of a visual part of the show,
Right.
and now you're going to figure out audio-wise, what can I put here? So it's not a sequential thing where here. It's really a higher order way of thinking when you're thinking that way. And if they don't go into television production, fine, but they can take that knowledge and
And the
that
children of
information
PS 102 are all involved in this.
This was our 5th grade. We're talking about the 5th grade
5th grade
technology
class.
club.
Okay.
But
Are these children that are selected specifically to be in this club, or is that anybody can join this
well,
club?
they have the availability to join the club. But everybody's brought into the production process. I wish we had some tape to show you where we have kindergarten children developing communication skills, going out into the community, cleaning up a park, interviewing each other. How is this important? Why is it important? Learning how to ask people open-ended questions that are going to lead people to other questions, like we're doing now.
Right.
So you film this, and it shows on the air.
Everything that we do in the school, and again, we want to highlight the positive. Unfortunately, the media focuses a lot on the negative side of education. There's a lot of good things going on inside the public school system, and that is the basis.
This, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, we're not here to tout the virtues of New York City public schools, but Clara Hemphill is a former journalist who has just completed a book called A Guide for Parents, New York City Schools, and that will be out in the fall, has identified PS 102 as one of the 100 schools to look at, especially in terms of the arts and technology. And she got the grand tour about what we're talking about, and concluded that this would be a good place for children to attend school. And to add to what Guy was saying, not just what goes on in the school, but Guy has gone on location with classes that have gone on trips. We have established permanent linkages with community-based organizations and art institutions outside of our community. For example, 55% of our school is Asian. And the Asia Society on 70th Street and Park Avenue is one of our partners. And so when children go there once a month, as well as to the Whitney and the Queens Museum, there is what we call gallery learning taking place.
Your children go once a month to
Yeah.
your art gallery?
That's right.
Really?
Yeah, we are hopeful of gaining an Annenberg grant, which will reform the school so that all learning takes place around the arts.
What does that mean? I mean,
It means that the arts will form the foundation for all learning, and all teachers will be trained in this, and museum people will be part of the staff, and children will be going out to museums to extend their classroom experiences, so that this too is broadcast on Queens Public Television, so that the community becomes appreciative and understanding of what we're trying to do in the school, not necessarily within the walls of the school, but to extend children's appreciation of the arts and how the arts can lend themselves for learning.
Well, this sounds like a wonderful thing. You're teaching, you're teaching the children, but for the parent who may not be an American parent, you're also teaching them.
Right.
Absolutely. And we're also demonstrating because we're able to demonstrate what goes on in the school, we're hopefully monetarily, we're able to gain support from the community, local businesses. I mean, that's really what Harvey Sherer has done. He's given the responsibility to the community to educate his students. We're open doors. We're trying to break the walls down.
if you have any questions as to how to possibly get your child involved in more of technology, call us at 1-800-EXT-HELP. This really, I have to Really, this is just phenomenal. And the babies, too, I mean, from the kindergartners, they're all
Yes,
going, they're all
involved.
doing.
They're all involved. Look, something else occurs to me, too. A guy did a piece with the local firehouse just 2 blocks away from the school. Now, this not only brings the school closer to the fire department, and it not only brings the children inside the firehouse for their trip to the firehouse, but the fire department used it as part of their own training system to show other firemen in training, you know, about how to talk to children.
Okay.
And so that was our contribution to the fire department, and the fire department in turn will give us assembly programs and that kind of thing.
And then that's broadcast to 375,000 people in the community.
Right.
So we're taking one lesson that happens really every day throughout education,
Right.
but now we're really taking it to the next level using technology, and that's the beauty of
And
it.
what has the response from the community been? I mean, have you...
Well, let me give you an example. I was sitting in a restaurant in Manhattan where the program is not broadcast, and the waiter came up to me and said, "I know you." And it turns out he's a college student, Queens College, and said, "You know, I learned more from watching QPTV and what goes on inside of PS 102 than I have in all my education classes."
Really?
It all came alive. Now, as a result of that, I contacted Queens College. We now permit their student teachers to complete their requirements at our building. I go to Queens College periodically and am involved with their classes. And we're currently working on a proposal that will bring both the college and the school some money for the purpose of teacher training. And it all came
Incredible.
about with that waiter
And that leads us into
For that meal.
for that meal.
staff development.
Yeah.
That is, you know, logistically, to coordinate staff development takes a lot of time and resources to do
Right.
that. If you have a teacher that specializes in, say, at PS 102, we have a teacher that specializes in cooperative learning, put that teacher on videotape, record what's going on in the school, and now show other teachers that tape. And that, again, show the community that tape through public access.
Now, what's going on in the middle school? Like these fifth graders who are having this wonderful experience in school, what's going to happen
Right.
when they leave the school? I mean, is there anything going on in the upper grades that would support what you're doing?
Well, Guy, you're the district person.
Yeah, right now we're constructing a school, an intermediate school, IS5, and technology is a big part of it. There's a television production studio in the plants, designing that right now. We're trying to take it now from standard video technology is tape. It's tape-based. What we're trying to do, and this is the way the future is going as far as technology, is the computer is meeting video, traditional video technology formats. So we're bringing it to, again, nonlinear, and that's the terminology.
Yeah.
It's called nonlinear editing, where the children will be producing shows on nonlinear systems, computer-based systems. That school is wired for cable, it's wired for closed circuit, it's wired for data for a local area network. So that is the future, yes.
So it's not open yet, the school or the room?
It's just opening now.
We're just finishing up the construction of that now, yes.
Now, another thought occurs to me. The whole process of videotaping teachers for the purpose of teacher training, where new teachers can take home a videotape, as well as engage in it at a faculty conference. Parents can also avail themselves for these tapes. I mean, Guy has prepared what we call video yearbooks.
Oh, yeah.
So this kind of summarizes the senior year of our fifth graders as a souvenir of the year, but also a memory about what went on, because it's not just those children, it's kindergarten children too, who appear in this tape.
Okay.
Parents we're also gearing up to prepare tapes for parents of incoming kindergarten children, so that they can see when they register their children in the late spring what the experience will be like in the fall, so that their child has some idea about what's going on in the classroom, even though he may visit for a few minutes in the spring.
Yeah, but there's nothing like a video he can watch over and
Right.
over again to know what to expect during the day, as well as a parent who's
Yes.
out at work and wants to know, what are they doing at 10 o'clock and where are they at 1:30?
Right. So if the child, let's say the tape takes the child through a simple little exercise in preparing something, whatever it might be. It might be a little drawing.
We're going to tell you how to bring this program into your school. Stick around. When we come back, parent to parent. We're talking about today how to bring the 21st century into your child's school. So tell us, Principal Sherer, how do we get this wonderful program into our children's schools?
I've got an answer for you. You Long Islanders pay direct taxes, and you should be going to school board meetings. And you first want to come over to 102 and take a look at what the good life is all about, and then go back to Nassau or Suffolk County and say, I saw something in New York City that I would like to see here in my community. And that's the way to start. You start with the school board about the efficiency and efficacy of technology in their schools, and bring a case for that, and perhaps encourage the school board to bring in a specialist like Guy Lodico or anyone else who has had experience with instruction and technology to train teachers, to bring computers into the classroom so they're close to the instruction, and stop this nonsense of computer labs which are removed from the instruction and only encourage one teacher to be proficient in computer literacy and discourage classroom teachers from having anything to do with it.
I think a lot of school board, I think people respond to dollars and cents. I know in Long Island the budget is always such an issue.
Yeah.
And taxes, I think that's a major stumbling block. How the dollars and cents of this? I mean, is it
Well,
very
Marty
expensive?
Brooks, the superintendent of
that's
Valley
my
Stream, did come over to 102 because he heard about what's going on. And Dr. Brooks was impressed about what he saw, and he later said to me that a lot of what he saw will be incorporated in Valley Stream. So not only school boards, but we encourage all visitors. And I would welcome superintendents and
I would assume that
teachers.
once Dr. Brooks, will speak to,
Yes.
every other superintendent from
Yes.
the other, I guess a snowball sort of effect that
sure
might, one would catch on to the other.
Yeah, it involves education. A lot of people they think that people want technology to run the classroom, but the teacher is always first.
Well, it's interesting
Well,
you
need
say
an
that.
instructor.
Well, I don't know if you have a computer at home, but we do, and now they have all the encyclopedias on the computer
Right.
and searching the internet. And what about the good old-fashioned just going to the library, taking out the book, turning the pages? I mean, is there something?
Hello, Neil Postman.
Who's
But
Neil
it's-
Postman?
well, he's
I don't
been-
think it's a good thing.
For 20 years, Neil Postman has been talking to us about the hidden persuaders, how television gets us to buy certain products and in a subliminal way. But these days, he's talking about communication, and he's talking about the evils of technology if you just depend on technology for communication. Yes, the Grolier's Encyclopedia is on a CD-ROM, but it doesn't stand alone. What could be more intimate than holding your own book, interacting with that book, pausing where you want to pause and predicting where you want to predict, and cuddling up to the book, with the flashlight under the blanket. The ultimate goal of technology as it's used for reading instruction is to get children to go back to their books. The books will no longer be a threat to them. The text will mean something to them because they have gained the wherewithal to understand vocabulary, to build phonic skills, and depending on the age of the child, technology will be used only to support and to enhance what has been accomplished through reading.
A question, is there such thing as, do you think these kids are going to experience like techno burnout at some point? Do you think overstimulation? Do you think, are we raising a generation of...
No. This is the perfect opportunity to bring in our newly acquired piece of information. You know, it took 65 years ago when teachers were using pen and ink to teach, and this newfangled idea of a chalkboard, blackboard, came in. Well, teachers put up such a stink. I mean, here we are. What have we come to? Another tool for learning.
Right.
When are these children going to learn on their own? And so it's an attitude that must be adjusted.
Yeah. People may say technology is frustrating, change is frustrating, but change is good. And it's our role as educators to prepare these students for the 21st century. Like it or not, they're going to have to know how to use that mouse.
Right.
If they don't, their future careers depend upon it. It really does.
Well, I guess also, as long as learning is fun, you know, if you're providing a fun, good environment and children want to learn, then you're really doing your job.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're fearful of any of this, are they?
At that age, no. Because barriers haven't been constructed in their minds. It's the unschooled mind. Howard
right, they
Gardner,
don't know.
educators would relate to that. We have fear.
Of course.
Our generation, techno-anxiety is very big with us.
Yes.
Why? Because when we went to college, how was technology presented to us? Learn basic. That was my first computer course, to learn basic. It wasn't learning the computer as a tool. They were teaching me how to program software. I had a bad, you know, my first experience was bad. But that's why staff development is important with teachers. We want to relieve that techno-anxiety. The children don't have it. I see children, you put the computer in the room with a teacher who's able to facilitate this process, and they go. They take to it. It's a very natural process for them. They have no fear of it.
And it's incredible.
When computers first found their way into schools, schools traditionally handle it by establishing a computer room. Let's teach children how to operate, how to keyboard. We're way past that. Unfortunately, we know many schools still do that and build new computer labs, and it's the wrong way to go. We have now discovered that technology will support daily instruction, and we in the business see a proliferation of workshops and convention themes built around technology as it relates to instruction, not the operation of the keyboard.
Okay. Do you have after-school programs and things like that? Do you have that in your school? And you have computer
Literacy, yes. Last year we had a nice program with that, and that was funded by
the Parents Association.
They provided their.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This has been terrific. This has given us a lot of food for thought. Try to get in there, see if we can bring technology into all our classrooms. Next week on Parent to Parent, we'll be giving you help and questions for your children, how to ask their doctors questions. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great week, everybody.